For so long, Malphite has had his place in the meta as a tank top laner. He's always had a pretty low pick rate in solo queue. He's never really been the go-to top lane pick across any meta. If you were to ask people as to how they would describe his gameplay, most people would say that he's a relatively boring top lane pick. He doesn't see a lot of play. He's usually the go-to autofill top laner due to his low skill floor. This has kind of started to change though as of recent. A lot of people are now starting to play Malphite as this full AP champion, and in the past, full AP Malphite has kind of been known as a for fun champion that you'd only pull out in normals, but it has started to emerge recently in both the mid lane and in the jungle. High elo and pro players have started to pick him up here, and he's actually, if you take a look at some of the highest rated Malphite players, they actually do play him full AP, or the majority of them do play him full AP. So in this video, you're going to learn why AP Malphite is strong in the jungle and in the mid lane, the setup you should be looking to take on it in both roles, and how you should be looking to play it throughout the game. So with that being said, let's get started. So first off, taking a look as to why full AP Malphite is so strong, number one is that it has a foolproof one-shot on squishy enemy champions. Not a lot of champions in the game have an ability to where it's going to CC the enemy team, it's an AoE ability, and it's also going to deal damage. A multi-man ultimate in a team fight, if you're playing full AP Malphite, can just single-handedly win you a fight or win you a game. It's that impactful of an ability, and it doesn't really take a ton of skill to use either. It's a pretty easy to use ability, and you just press it if you see the enemies grouped up, and you're going to have a lot of impact by doing that. Now for number two, he's a very strong pick into a lot of the meta mid lane champions, or the most picked mid lane champions across most elos. So if we take a look here on screen, I have the 10 most played matchups for Malphite right now in this patch, and as you can see there, his 5 most played matchups, he's got a winning win rate against those champions, and it's not like the win rate is only a little bit above 50% or around 50%. It's upwards of like 56, 57% against Zed, 55 against Yasuo, 58 against Akali there, and this isn't just over a couple of games either. He's got 2,500 games against Zed with that 57% win rate, 2,400 against Yasuo, so the sample size is actually pretty good as well. It's not like it's just a low sample size and the data would be skewed there, so he just does a great job against a lot of champions that are played a ton in the meta at the moment. The reason to why he does so well into those champions is because a lot of them are melee champions, and once you do hit level 6 against those champions, if they try to walk up for CS, if they walk into your ultimate range, they are going to die. Malphite's one shot when he does have level 6 with his full combo is very deadly, and a lot of players are not going to respect that, or they're just not even going to realize how much damage this champion can do at level 6. So if Yasuo walks up for the wave, or if Zed walks up for the wave, they're just going to die straight up. Malphite's going to get an early kill, and then as it does reach the mid to late game, when Zed and Yasuo are trying to team fight, if you just press R on them as Malphite, they're going to have literally zero impact in those team fights because you're just going to kill them right away. So you just do a great job at eliminating these champions and making them completely useless. So for number 3, I bet if you'd ask most people what AP ratios Malphite has on his abilities, they'd probably get most of them wrong. He actually has very high AP ratios on 3 out of his 4 abilities. So his Q is a 60% AP ratio, W is only 20%, but E back up to 60%, and his ultimate has 100% AP scaling. So your full burst combo with Malphite, with all of that AP scaling on his abilities, and the fact that it's not a burst combo that you're ever going to mess up, that damage there, those ratios are going to hit every single time because all of his damage is pretty much guaranteed. So the amount of burst damage you do have with those ratios is extremely good with Malphite. Now for why he can work in the jungle, he does have a great clear speed with his E and with his W. A lot of people do like to go for a full clear on their Malphite, so doing the Raptor camp, doing the Krug camp, you can take those very quickly and you can actually get to your level 6 relatively fast. That's the main thing you want to do with Malphite jungle in the early game, is you just want to be getting to that level 6 because that's where your ganks become most potent. So because he does have really fast clear speeds, it allows him to get to that quickly. Now, number 2 is that he does have some of the best, if not the best, level 6 ganks for any jungler in the game. You could definitely argue certain champions, I don't know, like Nocturne, Rengar, Fiddlesticks do have better level 6 ganks, but if you're coming in with your Predator, coming in hot there, it's going to be very difficult for the enemies to escape you, especially if they're just like, even if they're just pushed halfway up the lane, because you come in with your Predator, you don't even use your ultimate right away. This is key here when you're ganking level 6 with Malphite. You don't want to use your ultimate right away. You want to, if you can, walk up to them with your Predator, use your Q on them, wait for them to flash away, and then use your ultimate. It is going to depend on the situation. Like if you have to use your ultimate to close the gap and get onto them right away, then obviously use it right away. But if you can, if you have the option to save your ultimate, look to do that, and it just makes your gank super deadly. And then for number 3, I think the tipping point as to why more people started to pick up Malphite in the jungle is because his dueling potential and his clear speed got better back in 9.15 and in 9.14. So in 9.14, he did get that auto attack reset added on to his W, which does help his clear, helps out his dueling potential, and then he did get extra damage added onto his W back in 9.15. So if we now take a look at the setup you should be running on your mid lane and your jungle Malphite, for your mid lane Malphite build wise, it's going to be usually either a Ludens or a Proto Belt Rush. Ludens is going to give you the most just pure one-shot potential at your level 6 there, or not at level 6 because you're not going to have it yet, but once you do get your Ludens, you will have very good one-shot potential there. The Proto Belt as a rush item is also pretty strong. You're going to pick that up a little bit earlier on in the game, and it can give you a little bit more burst potential a bit earlier in the lane there, but usually either Proto Belt or Ludens as your first item is going to be the go-to. Second and third items on the champion, either Zhonya's, Morello, Deathcap, kind of depending on how the game is going and what the enemy team comp does have. Now for your ability maxing, it's going to be Q first, E second, W last, take your ultimate 6, 11, and 16. And then for the runes on mid lane Malphite, the Electrocute setup running Domination and Precision is going to be the one that does perform best most of the time. You will see some Malphite players go for Comet as well in the mid lane. Comet's not a bad option at all. It does give you a little bit more poke potential in the early game, but by running the Domination and the Precision there, it puts your ultimate on a very short cooldown. That's kind of the whole key to playing this champion. Like, you want your ultimate up whenever you can. That's what makes this champion so strong. If your ultimate's down, you're really not even a champion. So by going Domination and Precision, it allows you to run the Ultimate Hunter. It also allows you to run Presence of Mind there, so it just puts your ult on the shortest cooldown possible so that you can constantly be looking for team fights and looking for engages. And then for the setup for jungle Malphite, it's going to be pretty straightforward. So Runic Echoes into Sork Boots and then Oblivion Orb. Those are going to be your core items. So you just want to get quite a bit of pen pretty early on with the jungle Malphite. For your second and third core items on the champion, it's either going to be Zhonya's, you can go Void Staff, Morello, Rabadons. There are a lot of different options and it is going to depend on the game. Now for your skill order on jungle Malphite, make sure you're taking your E level 1, W2, and then Q at level 3. Still max your Q out first, E second, W last, but you want to make sure you're taking your E and your W there so it does help out with your early clear. And then for your runes on jungle Malphite, you can run the Electrocute or you can run the Predator. Most people do go for the Predator on Malphite. It just makes his ganks very, very potent and very difficult to end up dodging out on, especially when he is level 6. So you run the Predator, the cheap shot, make sure you are running the Ultimate Hunter there as well, and then taking the Presence of Mind and the Coup de Grace. So pretty similar setup to the mid lane Malphite, but you are going to be running the Predator and the cheap shot. And then if we lastly go over what your game plan should be for both mid lane and jungle Malphite, for mid lane Malphite pre-6, you're just going to want to be looking to poke with your Q. Get some poke off. If you do end up whittling the enemy down enough, then you can look to go for a flash all-in play with your full combo, but just poke with Q, farm up. You shouldn't really be trying to do too much in the early game pre-6 with this pick. You're kind of just making sure that you can get past the laning phase and get to your level 6. Just make sure you're not falling behind too far. Make sure you're not dying level 6, because once you do get that 6, as long as you are even, you are going to be able to one-shot most other mid lane champions. Now when you do hit your 6 as mid Malphite, just play around your ult cooldown. Whenever that's up, just kind of tell your team, like, just play around the ult cooldown. Whenever it is up, you can look to play aggressive, you can look to make plays. Definitely call your jungler over when you are about to hit level 6, because it's just such a free gank, it's just such a free kill when you do have the 6 with Malphite. So just play around your jungler, play around your ult cooldown, and you're going to have great success on this pick. And then when you do get ahead on the pick in the mid to late game, just make sure you are controlling vision. Make sure you're constantly buying pink wards, because if you can just sit in the fog of war, or if you can sit where the enemy team does not have vision and you have vision on them, and they just like all walk into a choke point or a certain area and you can get a multi-man ultimate off, then you're just gonna have a ton of success on this champion. So play around your vision in the mid to late game. That is going to be key on this pick. Now if we take a look at how you should be playing him in the jungle, what your clear should be in the early game: first clear to optimize your XP, you should be doing your buff into Krugs and then Raptors. Doing this pathing is going to mean that you're gonna hit level 6 the quickest, because you want to be taking those Krugs very early on if you do want to hit a quick level 6, because that is the camp that is going to give you the most amount of XP. So just be doing this clear here with Jungle Malphite. I don't think there's really any other clear that would be worthwhile, because you're not really going to be looking to invade with the pick. You're not really going to be looking to make any super aggressive early game plays. So this is going to be the way for you to hit that level 6 the quickest. It's very important that you are tracking the enemy jungler in the early game so that your laners do not die. You don't have the best pressure in the early game with this Jungle Malphite, so as long as you are tracking where the enemy jungler has started, where he's going to be pathing, make sure you're pinging out where the jungler is, and make sure that you are just typing in chat where the enemy jungler is on the map so that your team doesn't die, and that's so you can get to level 6 without your team falling behind. That's going to be very important, because as long as you can get to 6 with this Jungle Malphite and your team does not end up feeding, then you are going to do very well on the pick. And then post 6 with the Jungle Malphite, you're going to want to play it pretty similar to mid lane Malphite. So play around your ult cooldown, gank whenever that's up. If you're sitting in your jungle, or if you're just doing nothing for an extended period of time, when you do have your ultimate up, then you're kind of wasting the potential of this champion, and you might as well just play a different pick. So play aggressive when your ultimate is up, take advantage of that. Mid to late game, control the vision on the pick, and you are going to do extremely well with this Jungle Malphite. Alright, so that is going to be all for this video, guys. Hopefully this does now give you a pretty good idea as to how you should be looking to play this Malphite full AP in both the mid lane and in the jungle. If you guys did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.